Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Digital Experience team's retrospective for this iteration ending today on April 8th. So we'll jump right into some of the things that went well. I think Tyler's up first.
Yeah, I said this morning in the inbound marketing call. It's really worth repeating. Thank you, Lauren, Tina. I think in terms of things that went well this iteration, like y'all just like knocked it out of the park, really making this work easy to manage, conceptualize, and like figure out like how to move the ball forward on the event templating. So just thank you so much for doing that. It's like made my day-to-day so much easier last 2 weeks.
Thank you, Tyler. I'm going to be going next. So this sprint is my first sprint on Storybook. And I really want to say thank you to every single member of this team, because when I was about to start last week, Monday, I'm like, oh, now I'm about to do Storybook. I need to get started. So I was disturbing every single person that, okay, where do I get started? What do I do first? What do I do next? And everybody was contributing. And with for the first day, I knocked out a big chunk of all the components that I need to do. And I'm like, oh, this is super easy. I can do this all week. And everybody put me in a good mood that made me really get into a beast mode that I just went on crushing everything that I need to do. And before the end of the sprint, I was so comfortable that I knew that, okay, I can do way much more better, and we can quickly knock out a lot of components that are still existing on Figma. So thanks to everybody for the good job we've been doing on Sleepers. I really love this. It's interesting. Okay. And okay, Avi has a comment.
I just wanted to call out that if you had any feedback or things that were like weird in that process, I think there's a lot of things that like, at least like for myself. So it's like, I like was trying to like, when we were first putting that together, it's just like we made decisions and we were just like, all right, cool. Like this is how we're doing things. And then just like it never got written down, because it's like, of course, that's like just the way that we do it. So yeah, some things may make sense or may not make sense as like an outsider coming in and like trying to figure stuff out. So that's why I would encourage you, like those questions, like hold on to them, because I'm sure other people will run into stuff like that too in the future.
Definitely. Yes, I'll make some notes and I'll put them together so that we can include them on documentations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Tyler, you have a comment?
No need to vocalize, just some specifics on the docs there. We can move on to Tina.
Awesome. Tina.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to the entire team. The UI is looking great, not just for commit, but all the stuff I've been seeing come out of Storybook and all of that. The quality of work is amazing, and I appreciate that. Every time I click on a review app, I'm like, damn, looks so good. And Tyler, I appreciate the shout out. And I want to add to that I appreciate the questions that you ask, and I encourage everyone to kind of reach out to me whenever you're unsure about something, or you're kind of starting to build something and you're feeling like maybe there's not enough information in the Figma file, or things feel nuanced. Tyler does a really great job at just like getting those questions asked, and I find that that's how those review apps get approved so quickly, because there's those MRs just move through the pipeline quicker that way.
I'd actually just like to echo some of those. Like the last week when I was going through some of the content that we have for this OKR, you go to some blog post and you see brand new, lovely, and then you go to something old and it hurts your eyes. So the contrast is really huge. It's more than night and day. It's different galaxies. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for everybody.
I'm up next. I had some big fears of being overcommitted for our OKRs. And I communicated that with Michael, and he really eased that for me and really stressed for OKRs. That means first iteration, it's out. So we're good. And there's future ones that we can work on after that, but that doesn't mean we didn't like succeed in reaching our OKRs. Over to Brandon.
So I just wanted to, note that it feels like everyone's been making great progress on large tasks without, having to go in and direct everyone. So that's been great. Really appreciate that. Feels like we've been getting to the when we started doing something in our sprint planning docs recently, where we had kind of a working towards section where we noted our OKRs and things we would need help from everyone on, I feel like that helped a lot this iteration cycle, past couple cycles. I think we've been doing it now. So that's also been great. So that's in the things that, those are in the things that went well. And then also overall, it feels like we're making a lot of progress in slippers and CMS and templating and all that great stuff that we haven't had for the past, year and a half that or so that I've been here. So it's been great seeing this all come together. So huge shout out to everyone and thanks. And yeah, next up, it looks like Steven's got a note.
Yeah, just cross-functional partnership, like collaborating with the content team and stuff is all very open and very nice and welcoming. There's no like walls to get over or any kind of conflict. Everybody's really open to stuff, and it's really refreshing to have that. That if you have a question or if you have a concern or a suggestion on how to improve things, everybody's very open to it, which really just makes it a bit easier to go about your business and not feel too overwhelmed, which is great. So. But not on the call with the content team. They're all very nice and approachable and very excited about the work that's ahead as well. So just a quick one on that.
And then I think I bring up the rear. Thank you, Tyler, specifically for creating a grid specifically for the event template, which I have used in like all 5 of the blocks that I've created. It's just a super quick improvement while the larger ongoing grid stuff is happening, the larger epic of the grid foundation. So thank you for that. I think we can move on to things to improve on. It looks like Lauren has the first one.
I just wanted to call out that the context shifting from our slippers repo to our www repo is hard. It takes extra, we're working with different tech stacks, different language, and I do best when I focus on one repo for a whole day is what I would like to do, but I can get at least a half day on each one. I don't know if we can make that better, but that's my current situation. Send me.
Thank you, Lauren. So the next thing we can improve on is to put some plan into place to avoid overlapping engineering issues, such as the one that happened between me and Lauren last week on the events card. But I think we had a very good discussion about that during our working group, and we can always try to avoid stuff like that so that we can always move with speed. And I think it happened because we are all in a hurry to push a lot of stuff out, and that's so beautiful. I really like it. Yeah. And Laura.
Thank you. Yeah, I made a note here about code reviews. I think there was a lot of pieces that came out from the whole team, especially I saw a lot coming and going in slippers, and I feel like I'm trying to assign review requests to different people. They like lighten everyone's load, but I don't know if that is adding to the context switching problem. But I also don't want to be like, hey, Javi, you get all my code reviews. Good luck. Thank you so much. So I don't know if anyone else has thoughts or opinions on a rotation schedule, or I know it's part of the job, but I know Tyler has made a point.
Yeah, I know. I don't have a good idea about like the rotation itself, although I know that there are ideas out there. Like I think we could probably find something that's easy, whatever's like simplest to adopt. We're a small enough team where like there must be some system that makes a lot of sense, even if it's literally just like you like take a piece of paper with every reviewer's name and you're just like, okay, who did I do last? Just go around a circle. I don't have anything other than that, but on the solve for rotations, but for the like workflow, I think we just, because like I struggle with this too, one, feeling like a bottleneck, or two, being like, oh, I did my work, and like submitting for a review on a Thursday and be like, oh wait, hold up, that means that it's not going to land. And it's like just remembering that part of the pointing process is the review work, both for the other person and then also for yourself to then go and incorporate things. And like I always forget to take that into account, and I think if we can just like I don't know, try like keep that in mind when we do our pointing process. And I see someone put a note about like putting it into the planning schedule, but yeah, I think just being really explicit about like, okay, this work is both the implementation and like whatever you missed in that first iteration. And then the final piece is like keep that within reason, because like review should be like it should be one round, and if it goes further, then like there's maybe a larger problem upstream of like inappropriate scoping for something that needs like 10 reviews or whatever, or even 2 or 3. So those are my initial thoughts, and I'll let Javi go next.
Sweet. Just briefly, because I have some comments in there. In terms, and I also have like the next couple of points, but I had made the comment about setting a time frame to review MRs during an iteration. It seems like people are on board with that. I don't know like at what point that should happen. I feel like I can also see us running into the problem where it's like if you miss a certain time frame, like you won't get reviewed until like the next iteration, which I think, you know, can be problematic for certain people. So I don't know.
There's a note in some process in the handbook, and I can find the link elsewhere, but like I think it's one of the communication protocol things about like acknowledge receipts. And I try really hard to like when I get asked to review something, I do my best to like leave a comment and say like, hey, I see you've asked for a review, like I'll get to this today. Or I'll say like, hey, I can't get to this until tomorrow. And like then people can make a decision of like, do they need it reviewed right now because it's urgent, or like is tomorrow cool? So I find, and like people have responded well to, especially for like community contributions that are totally unexpected. We get a lot of those where people say like, hey, like, can you review this? And I'll be like, I really did not budget for this. I won't see it for 3 days. Like, I'm happy to do it in 3 days or find someone else, or I can help you find someone else. So I think the acknowledgement stuff might help with that time frame.
All right.
Helpful. I'm going to start doing that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I see Lauren added the engineering code review handbook page, which I think we should link to from our handbook, just so that we have something. Because I think there's been like times where we wanted to like make our own situation, like something that's more like team specific to dev, but I think like linking to that at some point would be a good thing, and we can add that as an action item. Sorry, I was just like something in my throat. I just wanted to also call out like the point of like encouraging everyone to ask the question, why are we doing this? The reason why that came up is especially when we're feeling like we're overcommitted and short on time, like understanding that like we do have like something in our wheelhouse as like people and employees is like our ability to say no to things. And like I'm wondering like have we ever like gotten a request from a stakeholder and been like no because of X, Y, and Z? Like I don't think I've ever like gotten an issue and been like no. I think that's something that like I think Michael has vocalized that we have the power to do, and I think that that's something that we should begin using so that like the things that actually matter, like we can deliver on those things very well.
Just a quick note on that. One thing I would say is it's definitely important to ask, you know, and why, and you know, to be able to say no. I would just caution that sometimes no is the best answer. Sometimes it's better to frame it as no, but maybe X, Y, Z instead, or this aligns with, or we can get to it. You know, I suggest we get to it for, you know, X time frame because of reason Y instead, or you know, just like don't just. I try not to leave it at just no. Sometimes I like to follow it up with more context. So yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly with that sentiment. I think it's like that saying no with kindness, or like telling people why like you say no, not just like no. Because I think that like feels bad. Things to improve on. Another point on like trying to keep making sure that we add documentation during the process of an MR rather than like after. I'm like the biggest perpetrator of that personally. And some of you all have points in there that I think y'all can
just add bad documentation. Like it doesn't have to be bad, but like add your rough draft. Everything's in draft is like a sub value, right? So like embrace that. As a specific example, wrote a thing during blog work. I wrote like a helper and I dropped like a 2-line comment in the helper. Lauren and I reviewed it. Lauren made a change during a follow-up iteration. And I was like, oh, hey. And like I was like, we should update this comment because now it's out of date. But like the existence of the comment like triggered me to think, hey, I need to update this documentation. And that documentation has now been iterated on 2 or 3 times because it exists, even if it's literally just like 1 or 2 lines. That's like, this function returns a value. Maybe not quite that low level, but like you can be like, here's the input and here's what I'm going to use for it. Here's what I expect, or something like that. So yeah, rough documentation, everything's a draft.
I think that's all we have for our retro. So we'll see everyone in another 2 weeks. Thank you.